All right. So, well, for our friends playing along at home, it is 2:11, and we're on 6:11. Ooh, look at that. No, 6:11. But maybe she climbed so hard that her arms are just like jelly today. Well, I don't know.
She just tried so
You
hard
reckon
that
Mirabelle
her
go a
arms.
whole weekend without climbing? I kind of
Well,
doubt
if
it.
Mirabelle's watching
Okay,
this,
if Mirabelle is watching this, now nobody can tell her, like this has to be honor system. Okay, so this only works if you all, like, let it work. I will say a secret word at some point during the lesson close to the camera. Like, I'll walk over and, like, the word is, like, while you guys are working. If Mirabelle comes back and is like, oh, hey, the word was da-da-da, we all get candy.
Oh, somebody texted her. Can we watch your video?
Well, I mean, but it's she needs to. It's not you that needs to.
Don't
She
tell them the
needs to.
secret of how we can do it.
So, okay, we're talking about comparing expressions. One of my staplers had a stapler baby, apparently.
What?
I don't have 3 staplers, but I do now.
They have it.
Well, you see, kids, when one stapler loves another
No.
stapler.
No.
How does that even?
How do we have it?
How is that even scientifically possible?
How does that work, Mr. Hudson? Wait.
I'm curious what Toby's whispering back there, because he's probably, like, hypothesizing out a whole story about staplers and love.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening.
That's exactly what's happening. Wait, do we
Hey,
not?
you see, there's a staple.
Happy stapler versus sad stapler. Okay, can we get on with the lesson? Hey, so here's the other thing that I've added to your chapter notes now, aside from my screen not working right now. The last thing on the, like, top tasks is gonna, for the rest of the year, say, if you have time left, you should work on homework problems. So some of us have gotten in the habit of putting the sheet away, the practice sheet, which most of them have examples from class on them, so you want to keep it up for that. But also, if you have fragments of time, either before class starts or even during class, if you've already done the thing we're all doing together, you can work on a homework problem. You can highlight something, underline something, think about it for half a second. So, like, keep your homework pages out. But at the same time, if you're working on homework instead of paying attention to class, I will tell you, like, hey, come back with me. Like, hey, put that away for now. Which really, put it away means, like, put it under something else so you're not tempted. But let's dive into 611 then. So what is an expression, and why do we compare them? Anyone want to volunteer, or do I got to get random cards out? Savannah?
Holland was like an expression is kind of like an equation but without the answer.
An expression is like the equation but without the answer. I'm confused. So does it still have an equal sign?
I mean, like, no.
So it's like an equation but doesn't have an equal sign, which means it doesn't have the answer. So an equation, you're saying, is like blah, 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 blah equals blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's just one thing. But so you're saying an expression only has the blah, blah and not the equals to the blah, blah?
Yeah.
Okay. So an expression is missing this equals. Now when we compare two expressions, let's say green expression versus red expression, sometimes, hey guys, some of you are like, yeah, he's just talking, I'll get back with him in a minute. This is all important. Sometimes they're equal, and that's what you're used to most of. But a lot of times they're not. And that is where inequality symbols come in. Look at your handout paper I gave you, like this. Like this. Right here is your reminder of what those inequality symbols are called. So when we talk about X, this symbol, Y, what does that actually read as? Lily? Yeah, X is greater than Y. How in elementary school did we get taught this? What were we told to think about? The alligator wants to eat the bigger number. Now, realistically, it'll go after whatever is like more entertaining to itself. But yeah, X is greater than Y here. So if we then put, well, this is a weird one. Morgan, do you know what that means?
Excuse me, could I please have Evelyn Lewis to the remote office?
Yeah.
Please come to the remote office. Thank you.
X doesn't equal Y. And the reason we want to talk about that symbol is when X doesn't equal Y, that leads to us having to determine, well, which is bigger, right? Which way does the alligator's mouth point? Now, how do I modify an inequality symbol? Because that's what these are called, right? Inequality symbols. How do I modify that to say, well, you might be equal, or this other thing? Nick?
Isn't it like the thing, but then with a line under it?
Yeah, it is the inequality symbol, but then with half of your equal sign, right? So that actually means X is, I need a pen, because this is getting too difficult to write. Ooh, careful. Greater than or equal. And guys, that symbol's on your paper. So please, like, remind yourself, and if you need to grab a highlighter and, like, highlight, like, oh yeah, these symbols exist. When it has half of the equals, this is greater than or equal. Greater than or equal to Y. Sorry, that's a G. My handwriting is a little sloppy right now. So, we start to use these mats to compare things. Now, this is one of those times where I think CPM is a bunch of silly nillies because they want me to print out a whole sheet of paper and give it to you just so we can make an expression comparison mat. So, flip your graph paper over for a second. Everyone should have graph paper. It should be new because we're at the beginning of the chapter. Label it expression. Actually, I would turn it sideways. Landscape. I would turn it sideways if I was you. Label it expression comparison. P-A-R-I. I am misspelling this. And if you want to, the book calls it an expression comparison mat, because a mat is like a thing that you put down and then put things on it. So then we want to draw a big rectangle, probably close to the size of your paper, with a dotted line down the middle, with an equal sign. Sorry, not an equal sign. Man, I used to make fun of my math teacher so much when he would say one thing and write another thing. And if you don't believe in karma, this is karma right here. This is the world circling back and being like, hey, remember when you used to listen to remember when you used to laugh at Mr. McCulley? Ha ha ha, Mr. Hudson. That was my high school math teacher and swim coach, Mr. McCulley. Much love. Is that a surprise? Freestyle breaststroke, thank you very much. I'm a great swimmer. I went to sectionals one time. Well, actually, I went to sectionals every year, but we did well at sectionals.
What is sectionals?
Like the big meet that, like, you gotta be good enough to qualify for.
So like Mirabelle's climbing
They-
thing, but
Yeah.
not as cool.
Yeah, you are correct. It's not nationals, it's sectionals.
They went to the Junior Olympics twice.
Well, you're better than me. Of course you're better than me, right? So when we work with those expression comparison mats, here's the dangerous part. The shaded in, look at this resource page now. The shaded in represents what? Nick? Positive. And that messes with people. I don't know why, but here's what I want you to try to train your brain. The not shaded is missing. It's literally saying, like, cut out an X or cut out a 1 and take it, right? It's missing. So my left side of my mat, and we're gonna write this on here, or if you need to write it on your graph paper, you can, but there's space under here for us to write this. The left side of our mat here, I'm actually gonna scooch this over so it's more centered on my screen. What do we see on the left side of our mat? Just go from top down.
X squared.
An X squared, is it positive or negative? Positive, so write down a positive X squared. Like, we're going to write what this expression has in it. This is on number 2. This is number 2. So this is the first question on this sheet, on your handout sheet. Yes, you have it. Yes, maybe.
Wait, do we color in the...
We're not. So below where you see this on this page, it says expressions. We're writing this here. So we have x squared and a positive x and a negative x. So x plus a negative x.
Or is it 0?
And that's going to be 0. Plus, what else do I have?
-5.
Negative 5, right? Compared to, we're going to put like a question mark. Now you might like be running out of space to write this here. That's okay. I mean, nobody doesn't like a cheese stick. Well, unless you're like lactose intolerant. So I'm going to change colors. If you have multiple colors, you could too. The right side, I have x squared and a positive x and a negative x. And wherever it works for you. Honestly, you could write this on your graph paper. You just need to reference back to this. So guys, if you're like me and you write big, you could put a 2 on your graph paper and write out everything I wrote out here just on your graph paper. Yeah, so this is blue side, this is green side.
You can just write one and then write it under like that.
So really, you guys said this is 0.
Yes.
And this then also would be 0. So what we really have when we compare these is an x squared and a negative 5. Yeah. Versus x squared and a negative 4. Well, if both sides have x squared, that's like, so if x squared is 10, they both have 10, and then the other number. If x squared is 100, they both have 100, and the other negative numbers. So, and actually I can make this plus negative 4 if we want to write it that way. Which side then is bigger, quote unquote, greater, Araya?
X squared plus negative 4.
Because the negative 5 is less. Right? We're essentially comparing negative 5 and negative 4. And here's why. We've talked about algebra. Right? Algebra is that study of math that lets us do things to math as long as we follow certain rules. The rules of algebra tell us, we're allowed to do anything we want as long as we do it fair. Come back up here. Put your pencil down for a second. If I take away an x squared from this side, I also have to take away an x squared from this side. Right? If I take both of these away, really that's 0, but I could honestly just take both of them away. I got to take both of those away. I could then take these 4 negatives away and 4 negatives away. What's left on my right side? 0, right? Not just nothing, but 0. What's left on my left side? Negative 1. What we're really comparing here, guys, is negative 1 to 0. Well, 0's bigger than negative 1 because negative 1 is further down. Now, I hate that my new board is bigger, and some of you guys can't see this, and I should really move this. Because this is your greater than, less than. It doesn't matter how big the number is, like negative 20 compared to 5. If it's higher, it's greater. Okay, this is where some kids get confused, like, well, negative 20 is a bigger number. It's got more power, right? Like when we fight positive, negative. Yeah, the negative would win, but 5 is greater than negative 20. Or 0 is greater than negative 1, because it's higher up. Any questions on that? So now let's flip the process and draw what they want us to have. So in number 3 here, At least I think if this is going along together with this.
Yeah, it's working.
Oh yeah, sorry, I flipped to the back for a moment and I got all confused. Do this on your own, and I would like you to take things off of the mats. Right? Make your life easier, because do you honestly want to write down everything we wrote down for that first one? No. Because you don't really honestly have space. Now, if I went back to number 2, and I just asked you to write down -1 compared to 0, could you fit that beneath the mat right here? Yeah, we can fit that one thing. So
Behind you. You were like circling around this blank spot.
So this, right, we could fit that easily. That's what I want us to do on number 3. So you know I'm going to random card, but I'll give you 60 seconds first. Go for it. On your own. No talking. We don't need each other on this. No, it's on your paper. You are trying to get things off of it to make it easier to write. So, all right, Meredith, you just volunteered. What's one thing I could take off both sides? Yeah, sure, because both sides have an X. Grab an X, goodbye. Grab an X, goodbye. Hey guys, seriously, like circle it and draw an arrow getting it off of the map. Eric, what else could I remove from both? Eric's not here. Eric! Ah, he's in the hallway. Sarah, what else could I remove from both sides? Ones, how many? Ooh, I know what you're saying, but be careful. I have to do the same on both sides. 4, right? Because there are 4 ones right here. So I can take 4 ones over here. Guys, be careful. If you just look at mat A first, you're going to think about grabbing too many of those ones. Zach, can I do something else, taking things away?
You can take away 1 negative.
Sure, I can take away a negative, so that gone, and this gone. Is there anything else I can take away from both sides? No. Because this is a negative and those are positives. Right, so when I go to write this out, what we really have is 3 versus -1. So guys, what goes below your mat on your paper is 3, leave a gap, -1. Araya, what symbol goes here? Yeah, now guys, here is something that I want to really enforce. A lot of you can pick the right symbol, but a lot of you can't say it. Practice saying what we're writing. 3 is greater than -1. It's easy to put the alligator mouth open into the bigger number. That's the easy part of this. What we actually call it is a little weird, because I can write this 2 different ways. I could also write this, yeah, -1 is less than 3. But that's not the same order as my mat up here. Hey, I'm not saying you need to copy this down. You don't need to copy this down. Because the mat, the order they gave us, the 3 was on the left, the -1 was on the right. But this is the same. It just uses the other inequality symbol. And it just flips the whole thing around. Because literally, if I just pick the whole thing up and flip it around, everything flips around. Does that make sense? Try 4 on your own. Oh, is it? Oh, sorry. This is when CPM now wants me to show you that skill of removing things from both sides. But because I like to just get to it, I don't do the silly stuff of like us struggling for like 15 minutes before we do it. So this is CPM showing that. Now, there are 2 ways we're allowed to remove things. Give me your attention. Pencils down, even if you're holding on to it, it's fine. We can remove stuff from both sides, right? We just did that. But the other thing I want to really reinforce, we can remove zeros, because these, and I will use the word that's actually appropriate here, these cancel, right? A +2 and a -2 cancel. That's really 0. We're not really removing those. We just put them together and they just like disappear. Like seriously. It's like my money when I go into REI. Like me and REI, my money just disappears. So we can remove the same from both sides or opposites from the same side. Does that make sense? Do we have any questions on this?
But wouldn't that make it unfair?
No, because this literally is 0. So think about this being a scale, right? Like a balanced scale. On this side, you have 2 positive masses, and then 2, now this is where it doesn't make sense. You have 2 negative masses that are literally like pulling upward. They're like forcing against gravity. But when I put these together, they float. Like they do not apply any weight. They're 0.
They are disappearing.
So this is where the negative values don't make as much sense in our brains. But that's why the zeros cancel out, because literally they're not impacting my balance. They're doing the opposite to each other. One is pushing down, the other is pushing up. It's balancing. That's why this is 0. But now, what I could do is take this set of positives off of here, and take those positives off of there, and that's that whole still balanced sets removal.
Okay.
Try 5 on your own. 5 is on your paper. I'm not making that up. There's a part A and a part B. Please simplify. Oh, and C and D. I forgot about that. So I will give you, actually probably like 5 minutes. Let's go 5 minutes. You can stick up a hand if you have a question. As soon as I blow my nose, I will be around.
Do you also have a cold, Mr. Hudson?
I do. I'm fighting it.
Tis the season.
I do not have a fever, though. I checked this morning. So I feel like garbage, but I am here. Because I love you guys. That's a 0, yeah. Yep, then you're removing balance right there. Yep. Now be careful, because you just drew through that one, so just be careful with having drawn through a tile. Some people like to use highlighters and just highlight things on both sides that are like balancing or being removed together. If you see me. I see that you're like working ahead, but you see me. Says what we're doing right now, we can physically represent with the algebra tiles that we worked with earlier in the year. So if this doesn't really click with you, if we're doing this and you're like, okay, great, Hudson says we can do this, but I don't get it, you can grab some algebra tiles and literally build this using this map. So I'm going to use Meredith as my guinea monkey, or whatever you want to say. You would lay the left side over here and the right side over here. But with the algebra mats, and this is where I don't want to do this today, positive is blue. This is that empty color, right? Red is your negative. That's why I don't really want to do that today. But if you, when you're doing your practice, want to grab some algebra tiles, do it, and keep this. We're going to use this in future classes. But right now, we're just trying to practice what could we do by drawing it on our paper. Then the other side's 0, right? If there's no numbers left on that side, it's 0. 0 might be bigger. 0 is bigger than a negative number. I'd rather have no money than have debt, right? Eric?
Mr. Hudson, what are you doing on Friday?
What do you mean?
Teaching.
Oh, we're not actually having math class. 8th grade did away with math, so I think 7th grade is also going to do away with math. And I got to go to the dentist. So I thought you somehow knew my schedule and knew that I was going to have my teeth cleaned on Friday. And you were like being creepy, like, you know, I'd like looked at my Google Calendar or something awkward. Eric, you have something to tell me?
No, he's asking
All right.
because it's Valentine's.
Oh, I'm not sharing those details with you. No. So, flowers, gentlemen, flowers, even if she says she doesn't like them, they do. Like, everyone likes flowers. So, go to Trader Joe's. No, I'm saying, like, real life advice with Mr. Hudson, right? Trader Joe's is one of the best places to buy flowers. So seriously, if you want my like Valentine's Day plan, I'll go to Trader Joe's and I'll buy some flowers because my wife gets upset when I spend a lot of money on flowers because they die, right? But she still likes flowers, like on our table, in our kitchen. They look nice, they smell nice. So I'll go get her some flowers for like $10 or something. Probably make some nice dinner. Whatever. Kroger clearance flowers, yep. But that Trader Joe's is right about that same price. All right, Eric, thank you for volunteering. What can I do to Matt A?
Oh, well, you see, for Matt A, do you want me to, like, come up and demonstrate the rule?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay, I'll come up, I guess, then. Let me see.
He says like I'm forcing him to.
Well, it's hard to say it in words. It's easier to just show it.
Sure, I
Okay, so
agree.
basically what you can do here is you can take this, and those two cancel each other out. And then you can take these three negatives, and these three negatives, and they cancel each other out. You can...
Yeah.
They
The
do.
same thing on both sides, yeah. He took three negatives
okay.
off both sides. We can double check that.
Alright, so then you take these, which is 5, and then you take these, which is also 5, and those are both out. And then you can take this one, because that's a negative and a positive on the same side, you take that out. And then that's just 0 and 1, and that one's more, and then you're done.
Cancel would be like a positive and negative at the same sign. Literally, that's like a plus X and minus X. That just makes 0. I don't have to do anything over here for that. But this.
Can you draw a hot maid for me?
No, do it yourself. Actually, no, don't.
Also has to go. That makes yeah, so it's doing the same
Yeah,
thing
I'm gonna
on
draw
both sides.
right.
Guys, so I say it out loud again. We can either get rid of the same thing from both sides or opposite things from the same side. So guys, you can take that statement and like flip it around. Get rid of the same thing from opposite sides or opposite things from the same side.
Well, so if I have like 2 negatives on one side and then 2 positives on one side, could those just cancel?
If they're on the same side, yes.
But if they were on different sides, they
No. We'll look at situations like how do I move things over that middle line, but we're not there yet.
Mr. Hudson, you gotta do it right.
I don't know, I haven't even checked this. So he took 5 positive away, 5 positive away, seems right. Canceled out a 0 here, right? These actually cancel. We can use that word. Those cancel. This positive x, that looks good. These -3, these -3, that looks good. So you end up with nothing over here. Mathematically, we call that 0. You good? You look like you're having too much fun for math. So this side,
Are we not allowed to like math?
No.
I mean, you can. She just looks like she's having a lot of fun.
I'm
Which is,
talking about math.
oh, good.
A little.
Good. So we're left with this on this side. It's the only. I'm not removing it. I'm saying this is what we have. So we got a 1. And if you miss us saying 0 versus other things, sometimes 0 can be more than other things. Like 0 is more than a negative, right? Because I'd rather have $0 than to have a debt, right? Debt is like negative. 0 is better. 0 is greater. So did everyone get 0 less than 1 for A up here?
Yes.
Yes? Now we're going to try to rapid fire a couple of these. Callie, give me one set of things I can do up here on B. Take out 2 of the negative x's on like both sides. So these and these. All right. Bella, give me another thing I can do.
Alright, you can take out, you can take out 5 of the positive.
5 from there, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from there. Make sure you don't grab any extra tiles. Very good. Savannah, what else can I do?
You can take away 1 negative from each side.
Ah, there's this negative to grab, so I'm going to grab this negative. Lose. What else? Yeah, I can cancel this positive x, negative x. that just makes 0. So I bring it out and nothing happens over here. Nikki? And then? Yeah, there's like nothing else to do, right? There's like, I'm kind of done. What do I get then?
-3 is left in the bottom.
-3?
Hold on.
-3 is over here, right? Because 1, 2, 3.
And then on that thing, 2.
Oh, yeah.
Positive 2.
Which means that 2 is greater than
Ah, so we would write 2 is greater than -3. Stop. Be honest with yourself. Who's confused?
I'm not confused like what the top but then like I'm confused on like isn't there another way we could do it? Like you cancel out the 4 at the -4 at the bottom and then the 4 at the top and then
No, because remember, those won't work because they're opposite value. This dividing line is like the split of your field. We have one team versus the other team, or whatever you want to say. One expression versus the other expression. One set versus the other set. Whatever you want to call it. I cannot work these with these because they're opposite quantities. The only thing I can do on both sides are work with equal values. Now, if I had, or are you saying on this side put positives with
the
negatives?
4 yeah because I got 5 like to 1.
Okay, so I just wanted to reiterate what some people had been asking me. So Nick, put your pencils down. Nick is asking me, can I instead put these with these? Can I do that? Yeah, that's 0. Then can I remove this positive and this positive? Yeah. Can I remove these 2 and these 2? Yeah.
those 2 cancel.
Can I remove this 0? Yeah.
And then the negative and the positive
And
4 and a 0. So we get a different answer.
we have -5 to 0. Wait, what did we have?
So it doesn't
No,
So,
hold
hold
on.
on.
A is still greater than that.
Oh, +5. Sorry, so we have, what did we have previously, though?
2 to 3. 2 to -3.
2 compared to -3.
Isn't that the like
Hey, guys, how do I go from 2 to 5? How do I go from -3 to 0? Guess what? We did the same thing on both sides.
Bruh.
Because, pencils down, the other thing we can do, aside from taking things away from both sides, is bring things onto both sides. So this is the same thing, or it's the same math. It's the same as what we started with. But we ended up with 5 and 0 because we actually worked this side a little differently. We got it to be 0. It's the same. A is greater than B. Right? 2 is greater than -3 the same way 5 is greater than 0. They're off by 5. Right? There's a gap of 5 between them. Does that make sense that depending on how you do it, you might get a different answer? So guys, if you get a different answer, you're not wrong. What we're looking to check is, do you have the right inequality relating mat A to mat B?
Yeah.
So what we could honestly write here is A is greater than B. If you wanted to, you could just write A is greater than B. Doesn't necessarily matter how. We just know the left side's greater.
The only part I keep messing up on is like the little squares telling if they're like negative or positive.
Shaded is positive. Yep.
Yeah,
If it
well, I
is
know.
there, right? It is there, it's positive. The box, the empty, is like it's missing, right? If it's not shaded, it's missing. On C, Molly, give me one thing I can do to start with Matt C. Or sorry, Lee.
You can take away both of the giant X's.
One on each side?
No, you can take away 2.
Oh, that's what you meant by both. So if I take this away, and this away, and this away, and this away, okay, sweet. I took away 2 X's on both sides. Toby, and then?
Well, wonderful. You could take away 4 ones on each side.
Ooh, because there's 4 over here. So 2 out, and just to make my drawing a bit easier, so I took 4 out. I'll grab these 4 together because it's a little cleaner to draw over here. Perfect. Meredith, and then?
You could do that, like, negative square and positive square on the...
This makes 0. Guys, another way you can make this, like, look different. They cancel, right? They literally delete each other. You can just cross them out. Now, you could still show, like, it's going out, it becomes 0. You can just, like, cross through them if you want to make it look different.
And then take out the 2 negative ones.
Oh, and then I can still take this out and this out. So wait, gone, 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 gone.
0.
A is equal to B. They're both 0 when we get done with all that. Morgan, is that what you were going to say? Yeah, it's so exactly what Morgan said. She did it a different way, but it's still the same. Right, guys? A lot of right ways to get to Florida. If I say meet me at Disney, we don't have to take the same route. We just gotta get there.
So equals 0. I mean, you
Well, both sides equal 0.
that was just
They're equal. A is equal to B. Yep.
ta-da!
Lydia, what about Matt D? Tell me something I can do over there. The 2, so take away one of them on each side. Okay, so I got my negative x's taken out. I can circle them if I want. Olivia, not back yet. Olivia, get healthy. Callie jumping in, tagging in for Olivia. We can take out the 4. 1. Callie is Olivia? So right now, Morgan, what we're left with up here by what we see is what? What are the 2 values of these maps? Yes, we've got 0 and -2. Which is bigger? 0, actually. Because I'd rather have no dollars than -$2. So now let's do this algebraically. On your graph paper. Sorry, we're going to write out part E on your graph paper. So we're going to say 3x, this is on your graph paper, by the way, because you don't have space on your other paper, versus on your graph paper. We're writing this out. We're not drawing it. Like, we're not. So we're, like, writing the algebra. So on the front, I guess what Zach is asking is, are we on the back using that map or not? I know, but I would like us to do the algebra now. Remember, I go rogue from what CPM wants me to do sometimes. If you guys trust me, come with me. If you don't, I guess stay where you are. But
We can't trust you, Mr. G30.
on the right side, hey, there was no deception involved there. You all just assumed.
You're using our puny little minds.
D30.
So wait, -4 and -2. If I have a -4 and I have a -2, what do I really have? -6.
Oh.
Versus this distributes. Guys, you should also draw these arrows to remind us how to do the distributive property. Everybody should be writing this algebra on their graph paper. So this becomes 3 times x, which is 3x, and 3 times a -1, -3. When we want to remove from both sides, we literally just write it, remove. I'm going to remove the 3x. I take those off of both sides. This is actually writing the algebra. So then it's -6 versus -3. Now we could still keep removing things from both sides, or we could remove 3 negatives. So if I remove 3 negatives, take away 3 negatives, take away 3. We don't even have to do this. this becomes -3 versus 0. Guys, I got some people not working with me right now, and I'm telling you, I see you not working with me, and I will tell you that that's exactly how you led to working with me at AR Extension, telling me, I don't know how to do this. I love you, but I'm honest with you. When you don't practice things, when we are all practicing them together, that's your fault. Sorry, I only asked you to engage with me for 45 minutes, not even, because we normally start late. And this is another situation where 0 is bigger. We'll pick up on more of this tomorrow, but that is all the time we have for today. I know your heart is broken, but I must send you on. I am broken.
The secret word is carabiner.
Nope, not even close.
Carrot corn. Caramel corn.
Caramel corn?
Yeah.
I do love some caramel corn, though. Chicago mix is the best.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
With cheese and caramel corn together.
I only like cheese. I don't like caramel.